TNA Wrestling crossed that line again and delivered Bound for Glory. The landscape of TNA has certainly changed. Question is it for the better? Well, we're going to get into that. Just a pre-warning before we go any further, and I've not done this before on TNA shows. I will be having a rant. Yes, I will. I don't know if it's because I've just watched Raw and something's happened on there that's upset me, but I don't know. But there's a few things. But nevertheless, Bound for Glory absolutely delivered for TNA and it set the landscape ready to change in the future. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. But first things first, it was the countdown to Glory, the Inspiration versus the Elegance brand, the Elegance brand getting their rematch. And we had a bit of a spat on Twitter or X with the Elegance brand. Maggie, Heather, I'm sorry. I predicted the Inspiration to win. It was a prediction, not a spoiler. Although you could say it actually was a spoiler in this. Because look, the Inspiration did pick up the victory. I thought the match itself was fine. Did it pull up any trees? No. There was a lot of people saying well, there's a lot of rumors out there saying the Inspiration's contracts are up like many others apparently after Bound for Glory. So there was people saying they may have a change. It was great to see Ash come out by the side of the Elegance brand, as of course, with her situation. Basically, she's also basically said she's retired as well. So that's a bit of a shame. But TNA have opened up a door backstage for her, and I hope they keep her on somehow because for whatever reason, not being able to compete anymore is you know, not very nice. But just as she won the Knockouts Championship, maybe that was the reason they gave it to her as well. Maybe, but she deserved it anyway. Look, the Idolizer got the victory, but yeah, look, this was fine. It didn't. It also didn't get a lot of time. Now I don't know whether the Hall of Fame speeches went on. Mickey James and the beautiful people in the Hall of Fame was absolutely brilliant. By the way, that was free on the YouTube show. You could have watched that for free. It was so nice, so deserved for all three of those knockouts to get into the Hall of Fame as well. Big up TNA for that. So yeah, they had limited time perhaps to do this match as well, which probably didn't help. And that's why I'm saying the match was good. It didn't pull up trees, but that could have been a timing thing. Didn't get a long time. Maybe we'll see this in an episode of Impact. Maybe they'll have another match. No Impact this week, by the way. They're going to do an After the Glory special for everybody. But yeah, it did feel quite. I think the other thing on this is because we had a knockout every Hall of Fame. Every member of the every member of the Hall of Fame was a knockout, and then you come onto that match, which should have been a showcase really for the knockouts, and you give it such limited time. You kind of been like it felt rushed, and the right team did win, in my opinion, but it was just a little bit too short for my liking. Anyway, let's move on to the main card and the International Championship kicked off the show. Um, this was a fun start. Macklin and the new champion Kazarian. Kazarian not long beaten Macklin just a few short weeks ago. I think it was a turning point. Victory Road, sorry, winning the international championship, and I loved it. Yeah, this was a really fun sprint, very heavy hitting with Macklin. You know what you're gonna get. Kazarian, such a great wrestler as well. He did a little nod to AJ Styles. I think done an Angel's Wings in this one as well. Had a weekend full of that, haven't we? With this, I feel as if they took the title off Macklin to give him this memorable moment at Bound for Glory. And I'm perfectly fine. So Macklin did win this with the KAI and regained the international championship, which was not something that I had predicted earlier on in the prediction show or the predictions that we put out on social media. But I'm perfectly fine with them taking it off Macklin and giving him this moment because he's one of the unsung heroes in TNA. It goes under the radar because of like what we've been seeing with the Trick and the Santanas and everything else, and he's kind of just been this steady rock underneath all of that that you don't always talk about. But Macklin fully deserved this moment at Bound for Glory, and hopefully it's a kickstart um, for him. The World Championship, I would love to see him with that. Frankie Kazarian always said that he was always going for the World Championship, and if he did win this, it would be a kind of, I'm not gonna say it's a stopgap, but he wouldn't, you know, it would be one of those things that he'd like win it on the way to the World Championship. So really enjoyable match. And well done again to Steve Macklin. Mr. Mayhem is back on top in TNA. A grudge match was next. Tessa Blanchard returns against Gia Miller. She had Jodie Fret at ringside, and Tessa Blanchard had Victoria Crawford at ringside. She was ejected early from this, from openly cheating. She really did as well. I tell you what, though, and Gia Miller, I had her down to win this, and I got this one wrong because it weren't Gia that won this; it was Tessa. Um, Gia Miller held her own in this. But what I will say is Tessa Blanchard, and I know she's controversial, but well, I've said this all along. In that ring, in TNA, in that knockouts division, there ain't many better than Tessa Blanchard. And she was brilliant. I like this. Um, Gia Miller gave the best that she could tonight. You know, I think I would like Gia Miller to wrestle more. And I think that's the kind of thing where she's been this backstage announcer for so long and like she hasn't had a lot of I would have even liked to have had some matches leading to this. Because I feel as if the only letdown was really that she hadn't had a lot of matches inside TNA's ring before we got to the match with Tessa Blanchard. I think that's the thing I would have liked her to have done, and it may have made that match a little bit more better. But given what they got and having Tessa in there and Gia Miller giving as good as they got, it was perfectly fine. I enjoyed it. I just feel as if it would have been better if, yeah, she had a bit more time or a couple more matches under her belt before she went in there with Tessa. But who knows if that feud is over? We may get it. We may get her teaming with Jodie Fret against Victoria Crawford and Tessa Blanchard. But I have a feeling that Tessa Blanchard eyes are firmly on the knockouts prize. We will see, of course. Okay. Call your shot gauntlet match time. The 20 person, sorry. Call your shot gauntlet. I'm going to reel off the people in this match. We had Lei Yingli, we had Myra Slade, we had Ryan and Nick Nemeth, we had Cedric Alexander, we had Rich Swann, we had AJ Francis, we had Saint from Sinner and Saint, we had the BDE. We also had, as one entrant, all three members of the Rascals. Danny Luna, Eric Young, Jake Something, Rosemary, the hometown man in his hometown. Watch the interview below in the playlist. Go and find it. It was a great one. Zach Clayton, Jodie Fret. She, well, she was in it, but she wasn't in it. She got taken out by Frankie Kazarian before she could get to the ring. So Frankie Kazarian took her place. Santino Marella was in there. Matt Cardona was in there. And of course, number 20 was always going to be Mance Warner in this. And it started, took a bit of time before we got an elimination. But AJ Francis kind of went on a spell. He eliminated Myra Slade. He eliminated Lei Yingli. I was disappointed with that one straight off the bat because Lei Yingli is someone that I think should have been in there nearer the end of this. He then eliminated his own partner, Rich Swann. Rich Swann was sort of like they had this little hug thing, and then he turned it around and eliminated him, which I thought was quite interesting. But then AJ Francis, was then eliminated by BDE and the Rascals, which was quite good. Saint was eliminated by Eric Young. Now, he'd already cleansed these guys. He hit a sick power driver on the ring apron to eliminate Saint, by the way. And then Eric Young went on a spree of eliminations. He'd done Saint, he'd done BDE, and he also done Trey Miguel at the same time. And Cedric Alexander as well. So Eric Young was eliminated quite a lot of the field. Jake Something was out sort of halfway, was like the halfway point eliminations by the hometown man. I was surprised with that one as well, if I'm honest with you. Again, I expected Something to be nearer the end. Rosemary was eliminated by Danny Luna. We had Danny Luna being eliminated by the hometown man. Kazarian got eliminated by Santino Marella, kinda. We'll come back to that. Zach Clayton got eliminated by Matt Cardona. Myron Reed got eliminated by by both Nick and Ryan Nemeth. Zachary Wentz got eliminated by the Nemeths. The hometown man was eliminated by Eric Young, who was eliminated by Matt Cardona. He also eliminated Mance Warner. Ryan Nemeth was eliminated by Nick Nemeth. There we go. And Matt Cardona was eliminated by Frankie Kazarian, who actually was never truly eliminated in this either. Santino was also eliminated by Nick Nemeth earlier on, by the way, after he eliminated Frankie Kazarian. So it ends up, so once you've had the eliminations and you're down to two, it then goes into a one-on-one match with the person that picks up the pinfall getting the win. However, this is where things get a bit confusing because you've got Kazarian who's just about to suplex, who does this superplex off Nick, suplexes Nick Nemeth off the top rope. Their legs come together, they pin each other for the 1, 2, 3. They both run off and say they're the victory of this. And they're basically giving it to both of them. Dual winners of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. I'm personally not, well, I'm not necessarily a fan. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm also not a fan of it, if that makes sense. I love the match itself. The match itself was a ton of fun. The crowd didn't like this either. Now I'm fully on board with dual winners. I just feel it would have made more sense if maybe a Nick Nemeth won it, and then maybe like a Lei Ying Lee or a Danny Luna wins it, because then one of them could have had a shot at the knockouts and one of them could have had a shot at the men's championship. I feel as if that would have worked better. Just a combination of knockout and one of the men would have worked better. And don't forget, Kazarian hasn't long lost the call shot. He only cashed it in a couple of months ago. So he was still kind of already, he'd already had this call your shot gauntlet, and now he's got it again. Nick Nemeth, not so much of a problem because it's been a while since he's been on the main event scene, but I just feel like I didn't necessarily mind the duel. I just weren't happy with the two people that won it. I really felt as if they could have done, maybe even given it to Jake something and Danny Luna or someone, just something, just, where we've got two people who perhaps haven't been there. So the decision to give it to both, I was okay with. The people that they gave it to, or the two people that were in there at the end, I didn't feel needed it. That's my opinion on it. And look, I'm sure if something happens, we'll get into what happened near the end, but unless something drastically changes with this, and it could do, yeah, I don't know well, we obviously don't know what's going to happen in the future. At the moment, both Nick Nemeth and Frankie Kazarian are dual holders of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, meaning they both get an opportunity to go for the championship. Like I said, the dual bit, fine. The people that have got it, not so much. But we'll see. Look, we'll have a go. Who knows what can happen in the future, right? Anyway, back to championship action, and the Knockouts Championship was next. It was Kalani Jordan from NXT against Indy Hartwell. Um, and this was a surprise for me. I had this one down um, as a title change. It didn't happen. Kalani Jordan ended up winning with the split-legged moonsault. With this, I don't know, it just kind of seemed in one gear. Normally with championship matches, it will start, it maybe starts, maybe sometimes it starts quick. You have that moment in the middle and you build up to something. This just kind of flatlined for me. I was expecting it, even with the flatline, I was expecting it to go like this with Indy Hartwell winning the Knockouts Championship. But when that didn't happen, I wasn't that I was disappointed with the fact that Kalani Jordan had won. I just felt like I said, that it just kind of stayed like this. You sometimes, as I say, sometimes you go like this and you have that and then it goes up. Or sometimes you start it up here, you bring it down and you send them back up. It was just this. And I just felt like from a championship perspective, I expected more. That was what it was. It didn't, and I didn't give it. But hey, look, it is what it is, right? Bad day at the office. They could have a match on Impact in a couple of weeks' time and it blows the roof off. And because they're both very capable of doing it. But nevertheless, congratulations to Clanny Jordan still holding on. So NXT still have a bit of TNA. And right now, as we talk, as we get to the rest of the card, NXT have got both championships again, both big championships anyway. So yeah, interesting. But now we move on to Hardcore War. Now I tip, if I had a hat, I would tip it. Both of these teams went to war on this. This was absolutely brilliant. Jason Hotch was in first, then it was Eddie Edwards. Now, remember, all the four had the advantage. It's a little bit like war games about the cage, right? So Jason Hotch was in there, then it was Eddie Edwards, then it was John Schuyler, then JDC, then Tasha Steeles, then Alicia Edwards, then Special Agent Zero, then Myers, then Ali, and Moose was last. This for me was fun. It went hardcore. It really did. Um, Alicia Edwards getting blasted through some thumbtacks by Agent Zero on this match was, was brilliant. Um, I thought this was great. It absolutely delivered for me. Both of these teams and both of these two factions have really sort of, I wouldn't say elevated each other, but like I always feel that with this, it was just a great way to end what has been a really short but fun feud in wrestling. And I don't want to talk about sort of things that have happened too soon. That's somewhere else. That's another company, WWE, for that matter. But I thought this was great. I loved it. It needed when it needed to go hardcore. It did. I was surprised anyone else. It was Alicia Edwards that was taking it. Kudos to her. But what I did love was we were in Massachusetts, right? Eddie Edwards started this match as well, and it was only fitting that Eddie Edwards would finish the match with a barbed wire Boston knee party to pick up the victory and give it to, well, the system rolls on. Now, the interesting thing is here, and I get there were some people are saying, well, I didn't really know who to cheer for because the system was so like they were taking over TNA at one point, and now all of a sudden all the four come in, and we're kind of like got to cheer these guys that we hate. I thought that was great. I will be interested to see what happens next though, because the system have been around a while. All the four haven't been around too long. The system have been around for a number of years, so I will be interested to see what happens to the system after this. I think all the four are just fine. Leave them as they are, but the system, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Right. Here comes the rant, guys. And I hate it. And I hate having to do it, especially on this match. It was the X Division match between Leon Slater and Jevon Evans. The match itself, incredible. Absolutely incredible. It hit a home run. The match hit a home run. But I'm going to call it as it is. This was WWE booking right now. WWE 2025 booking was this match. The match itself was great. It went to a 20-minute time limit, which the crowd hated. And then they added 5 more minutes. And everyone's like, yes, I was going crazy at this point. It's exactly what I wanted. And then, and I'm going to swear, fucking Dark State comes out and beats both of these guys up, and it ends the match in a no contest. And that right there is everything that is wrong with wrestling right now. WWE have done it on Raw as well. I'm not going to get into that, it's not the right show. But that is absolutely the wrong decision on this match to do. And it infuriates me because the match itself was great. I could handle the 20-minute time limit, right? Maybe more so if they made a bigger deal out of it at the start, right? But it doesn't matter, right? It went to a 20-minute draw. End it. Instead of giving us that crap that you gave us for the last 5 minutes, which quite frankly is fucking awful, end it. Get them to do an 30-minute Iron Man match at Final Resolution. Why not do that? They may still do it, by the way. I'm not saying they're not doing it, but make this make sense. I know Dark State had an issue with Leon and Jevon, right? And I know they're probably going to go to NXT on Tuesday and have a tag. I don't care about that. I care. This is the biggest show of the year. And that right there for me ruined it because the match was brilliant. The time limit draw is fine. I can deal with that. Don't give us 5 more minutes and then end it with that shit. That reeks of WWE booking right now, and I don't like it. And I'm really sorry I've had to do this on the. Normally I don't rant on TNA's show because normally I love it, but that right there, I don't know if it's because I've just watched Raw and something happened on Raw which really infuriated me. So I don't know if that's added fuel to the fire that I'm already having with this. I hated that. I loved that match. I loved it. Why ruin it? Why? So annoying. Sorry. Anyway, I digress, and I'm gonna get back to the positivity now because they did break a North American attendance record for TNA. Over 7,794 fans crammed into that place, and I tell you this, right? That is testament to the work that they're doing. But when you have a finish like that, when you have a finish like you just done, you're not going to get that again because people are going to be annoyed. You've got to think about this now. Chris Bay come out and announced this, by the way. But again, you're not going to get those attendances if you're putting on stuff that you've just done there. I'm sorry, you're not. And I love TNA. Everyone on this channel knows I love TNA. We're on media for TNA, and I love that. But I have to be honest and give you my feelings on this. It's so infuriating, and I'm sorry. We're gonna come out of this now because we are gonna get into something. One final table, one final time, one final match for both TNA and NXT Tag Team Championships. It was the Hardys, it was the Dudleys. And we had Brother Runt, Spike Dudley come out with the Dudleys. And it was, it was your classic tables match between these two. And for those of people saying, oh, it was boring, it was slow, you're not going to get the Hardys and the Dudleys of 25 years ago, guys. They're pushing 50. Give them a bit of credit for what they've done. They still went crazy on this. Jeff Hardy was still flying off ladders and doing crazy stuff. My God, it's not going to be like the TLC matches they had. These guys are beat up. They've put their bodies and souls on the line for your entertainment for so long, and they've done it one more time for you guys. At least show them respect. It was fine for what it was. It was nostalgic. It was everything I could have wanted. Maybe I'm being selfish because it was everything I could have wanted. I loved it. I loved it one final time. Jeff Hardy, they both put it was like a perfect end. Bubba Ray was getting up. He knew it was over. And Jeff and Matt put him through that table one last time. And I tell you what, the end of this match, all four men hugging, the Dudley boys giving their boots to the Hardy boys. Jeff Hardy looked like he was crying at the end of this match. That right there is what wrestling is all about. Four legends, four Hall of Famers giving it everything one final time. And again, I would take my hat off if I had one. Bubba Ray and Devon, thank you so much for giving us endless years of entertainment, whether it was fighting fans at ECW, your debut in WWE, your TLC matches, your title runs, your aces and eights, anything that you've given us over the last 20, 30 years. Thank you. And of course, congratulations to the Hardy Boys, and we'll see more of you on TNA and NXT in the future. And I'm really looking forward to that. And it was a fitting end. Main event time, folks. We got there. Rants and everything else aside, we got there. Main event, Trick Williams, Mike Santana, TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Fantastic. It over. I was expecting big things and it even topped that. It was a brilliant end to the show and it ended in the right way. Mike Santana picking up the victory with the spin the block on Trick Williams to give us a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. The title is back home, and I couldn't think of anyone more deserving to win that than Mike Santana. You've seen his story. His story is panned out on TNA television for the last 12 to 18 months. You've seen it. He has clawed. He has fought blood, sweat, tears, you name it. He was bleeding in this match. You name it, he went through it. He is now the face of TNA wrestling, and I could not be happier for Mike Santana. However, we did then potentially get a cash in. Nick Nemeth was ready to do it. He was going to cash it in. Lights out. The all too familiar strum of the guitar from Elijah. Elijah returned to TNA, smashing Nick Nemeth over the head with the guitar. Frankie Kazarian was still trying to cash that thing in as well, but he didn't have the Call Shot trophy to do it. So I don't know how they're going to do that. Mike Santana knocking him out the ring, and then with his family at the end. So fitting for Bound for Glory to go off the air with Mike Santana holding the gold in TNA wrestling. Overall, a really, really good night from TNA. Yes, there was a big down point for me with that, kind of two down points. To call your shot Gauntlet, I can live with that. I can't live with the ending of the Slater and Jevon Evans match. But all things considered, at the end of the day, solid TNA pay-per-view. I'm looking forward. There's no impact this week. You'll be seeing After the Glory with interviews and highlights from Bound for Glory this week on TNA. So we're going to have a TNA break for a week, maybe, or two. But still, UK and Ireland fans, download TNA Plus. There is a new VIP tier that you can watch. Well, you could have watched Bound for Glory if you'd done it quick enough. But for $9.99 a month or for $99.99 a year, you can watch every TNA Impact, every special, every PLE, the archives going through the times on TNA Wrestling. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed. For those of you in America, do it already if you haven't done. We'll be back with TNA when it returns to the television. But until then, everybody, cross the line and stay safe.